Chapter 12. Valentine. Never had I been this fulfilled and satisfied being with this man, or staying in a place that I might call home someday, maybe sooner than I thought. When I headed to the door, I remembered something I wanted to say to Brian. I turned around, moving back through a crowd of people my age. It was something about this place that was pure magic. Coffee, tea, and thee was bustling on a Sunday morning. If you didn't know better, you'd think that they were giving away money, but they were making it hand over fist, as my mother would say, when she realized that my baby face had made her and me thousands, when we had literally nothing, not even $1 after she'd searched the cushions for it. I think she said that she found 75 cents when my father disappeared, only to return when I'd made millions for everyone. When I reached where we were sitting, Brian wasn't there. I turned to a waiter and said, "Where's Brian?" "He was here a minute ago." "I think he went to the storeroom. He said if anyone asked for him, he'd be in the back checking inventory. He just got a shipment in." "Do you think I can go back there?" "I have something to tell him that can't wait," I related. "Sure. I don't think he would mind. You're the first guy he's sat and talked with in here." "I think he likes you," the waiter confided. "I think I like him too," I revealed, but it was much more than that. It wasn't that easy for me to admit these things to anyone or myself, after I'd declared that I would stay away from older men. I left the waiter to walk to the back of the store, and instead of knocking, I opened the door and stepped inside, and then I saw Brian with one of the waiters. I didn't know what to say. Aside from the apron most of the waiters wore, he had his pants pulled down to his ankles, and he stood close to Brian. I knew I should have left, but I stood unable to run or move. When Brian's startled wide eyes locked with mine, it was then I made a mad dash for the door and tore out of there with my heart hammering in my chest. What could I say? I was in shock because I didn't expect to see anything like that, especially since I'd been with Brian only a few minutes ago. I had tuned out all the noise in the coffee shop because my ears were ringing, and I had to hold on to get outside and get some air. I did hear Brian calling out my name, and I heard the leather of his soles hitting the tile floor, but I was faster than he was, and I made it through the crowd and through the door, and I ran down the street, heading for the bar and my little room in the back, and the cot I'd spent time on dreaming about Brian. Everything and everyone's faces were a blur, my ears rang, and all I heard was Brian's voice calling after me over and over. It had a painful sound to it, but not as painful as me seeing that guy with an apron, his bare ass, and his cock in his hand dripping wet when he turned to see me standing there, horrified that once again I could be wrong in trusting Brian. When I reached the bar where I'd worked and slept, I didn't know how far it was from the coffee shop, or what time it was when I walked into it and began cleaning. I must have been in a daze because I was cleaning the stove, that the cooks had obviously cleaned, and when I finally glanced over the kitchen area, it looked new. After I'd swept and mopped the floor in the bar, the owner, Jim, opened the door and stepped inside. "Wow. What have you done to this place? I asked you to clean it, not polish it where it's not recognizable. The way you've cleaned everything, the tables and chairs," Jim said, passing his hand over the furniture. "I've never seen that mirror that clear before." "Do you need time off to recuperate?" Jim asked in astonishment. "A cleaning crew couldn't have done better. Why don't you take the evening off and hang out with people your own age?" I had no one my age, and then I remembered Parker. He wasn't far from here, and maybe he could cheer me up. Lately, I'd depended on others to make me happy, and that had failed. I thought I could be happy with Brian, and well, I guess I didn't know him well enough. I could kick myself. I'm always falling for these older men, expecting them to fix what was ailing me, and no one can fix that but me, I thought. If I could get the evening off, then I would appreciate that, I admitted. "Not only will I give you the evening off, but it is with pay. Then you can go out and enjoy being a young man. It's not good to stay in a bar night and day, and have to put up with some of these guys. I've heard their comments. They must be from some of those small neighboring towns. I can't speak for everyone, but the folks in Nevermore try to make our gay friends and brothers welcome. I know, but I'm not upset over that. There have been more people who have welcomed me here than those who make remarks at me. They know I'm young, and they are just trying to toughen me up. I know this is a safe town and I appreciate that, but I can't talk about it now. I'd better change and head out to get something I'd promised myself. I'm going over to Wounded Inked for a tattoo. I've been meaning to get one of those tattoos. I'm too old for one now. Glancing over at Jim, I said, "You're never too old for a tattoo." He smiled, winked, and gave me a thumbs up. Taking a shower made all the difference in my attitude, and the new jeans I'd been able to afford now, because I'd gotten a raise in my pay for all the extra work I'd been doing, and from bringing all the traffic into the bar. I guessed I had a gift, my mother had said, to convince me to keep working when I wanted to play, instead of going to an audition. You have to take advantage of that gift as long as you can, because you only have a few years before you'd be a has-been, and no one will want a child star after you turn 20. Now I had to start all over again, and I didn't think I was up to it. I was just tired. Was I talking about work or losing Brian? I asked myself, leaving the bar. Heading over to Wounded Inked, I found that I enjoyed walking and strolling down Main Street, looking into the shops. There wasn't much I needed now. I had worked and bought things guys my age couldn't afford. I'd bought a sports car I never drove, but Sam would drive me around. He enjoyed it while I had to work to pay for that high-end toy. I had homes and clothes and everything I could have wanted. I'd been to Spain, Italy, and Paris, and had planned to go someday as a man, but that wasn't meant to be now, because I didn't have enough money to go around the corner. Therefore I walked to Wounded Inked, and was happy to see Parker standing and talking to someone who looked like a wounded vet. The guy was in a wheelchair, and Parker had him laughing over something he was saying to him. Parker glanced up and saw me. After patting the guy on the shoulder, he strolled over to me with his signature arrogant walk, where his hips swayed as if to say, "Look at me. I know I have it all together." I wanted some of that all together that Parker had, and I was hoping he'd tell me how to get it. "Hi Val, what's the matter?" He held my face with his palms, and leaned and kissed me on the forehead. "Don't tell me Handsome has made you sad already." Before I could reveal to him what had happened, he said, "If he did something to you, I'll send Tony over to tell him off. He should know how to treat someone as delicate as you. I know, because I was an innocent flower like you once, and someone pulled off my petals, and now you see me toughen, and ready at any moment to give someone the finger, and tell them to fuck off." I couldn't believe Parker was ever soft, or as hard as he pretended to be. "It's nothing like that." I lied, because I didn't want anyone fighting my battles. I had learned that I had to take control of my own life, and not let anyone else do that. It was how I lost my life savings, by allowing someone else to make decisions for me. "I came for your signature red rose." "Where do you want it? On that cute little ass?" "No. On my back, the way you suggested." Parker slapped me on the back and turned me around, took my hand, and sat me at the soldier without both legs. "This is Chad. He's going to give you the rose you want. He's the best." "Where is everyone?" I asked, looking around and noticing that it was empty. It's Sunday, and I would be home too, lying around with my husband, but I needed a rest from the children. It's new to me, and being a full-time dad takes time, and being a full-time gay dad takes more energy than I ever thought. I came to close up, and got into a conversation with Chad here, and then you walked in. "I can come back another day." "No. Don't you dare. Tonight, I want to miss all the bathing and cleaning up. It's easier to close up than to work at home. I'm taking a rest. Now take off your shirt and lay on that table. Chad will be ready in a few. It takes time for him in this wheelchair." No one had seen me without my shirt since I'd turned 19, except Sam. I reluctantly took off my shirt and lowered my eyes and lay across the table. "Don't tell me you're a virgin?" "Oh fuck you are," Parker said, moving back as if it was catching. Chad never showed any expression. He just placed his tools near his station. Parker began laughing. "You haven't let Handsome have a piece of that virgin ass?" The wounded vet glanced up at Parker, and Parker placed his hand over his mouth. "You won't tell Tony, will you?" he said to Chad. "I'll get someone to help you, I promise." The vet laughed and prepared my back for the tattoo. I heard the humming of the tools, and then I felt the sting on my back. Parker strolled around where I could see him, and he sat in the chair that had us almost eye level. "When I saw you this morning, you and Brian were holding hands, and I knew that he was good for you. He confided in me that you were all he'd ever wanted and needed, and he would do what it takes to make you his. Now that's a declaration by a serious man." I walked in on him. This was painful to say to strangers, but I had to get it out. And there was a guy with his pants down. "Why are you bothered by that? Brian is a good catch, and someone is bound to be stalking him. I don't know what happened, but in life things are not always what they seem, isn't that right, Chad?" You would assume that Chad became a quadriplegic in the army because he was a soldier and served in Afghanistan, but he came home to Nevermore, celebrating with his fiancée, and ended up in an accident. Things are never easy and clean, and they are never what you think or see. "Did you talk to Brian?" "No." "Don't be a young dick. Don't run away. You're smart enough to know when someone is lying to you. Ask him what happened because he likes you a lot, and I'm sure he wouldn't do anything to fuck this up, especially since you two were just getting to know each other, and he hadn't had a chance to take your virginity from you." Parker raised both eyebrows. I moved my head. "Don't be embarrassed, sunshine. Since I've come to know Brian, I have a lot of respect for him. He's humble and a beautiful soul, he just hadn't found the right man for him until now." Parker patted me on my shoulder. "Now go and spread a little of that sunshine you carry with you to the man who needs it the most." Chad, who appeared to have a sour disposition, seemed to light up when Parker was around. Parker was indeed the ray of light and sunshine in others' lives, and that was his gift.